Overview of the case study, question and answers, loopholes, inferences drawn, suggestions, security plans, key learnings, and conclusion. Cybersecurity is the practice of defending computers, servers, electronic systems, and data from malicious attacks. The hats that we will be covering in the presentation under the background of cybersecurity will be historical relevance, why do we need it, current scenario, and pros and the cons. Historical relevance. Beginning of cybersecurity in 1972 with a research project on ARPANET, Ray Tomlinson, who was the inventor of email, wrote the program Reaper to chase and delete Creeper, which was moving across the ARPANET. Attack on the Pentagon in 1986, in which 400 military computers at the Pentagon were hacked with an intention to sell the information. 1987 was the birth year of commercial antivirus like McAfee. Why do we actually need it? Data needs protection. Cybersecurity is important because it protects all categories of data like sensitive data, personal data, governmental and industrial data. Controlling the cybercrimes, which have increased with increase in the internet usage. For example, dark web, which has been known for being the host of numerous illegal things like drug and human trafficking. Save money that is lost due to theft of intellectual property, corporate information, disruption in trading, etc. Enables credibility. Cyber attacks often make online platforms like websites unpleasant or inaccessible. That could result in a bad reputation to the business. Current scenario, Ukraine computers hit by data wiping software Viper as Russia launched invasion. Also, intent behind using Viper might have been that it makes data unrecoverable and it removes all proof of an attack. Twitter wishing celebrities attack in 2020, where accounts of prominent people like Jeff Bezos were hacked using social engineering attacks. Marriott Starwood Hotels in 2018 announced a breach that leaked the personal data of more than 500 million guests. WikiLeaks in 2016, which greatly affected the American 2016 elections. Now, my friend Shahzad Siddiqui will explain about the pros and the cons of the cybersecurity as well as about the cybersecurity in the healthcare. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Starting with the pros. Pros of cybersecurity can be defined as, first of all, protection from unwanted programs. Cybersecurity provides protection against all the dangerous programs, viruses that can make our gadgets to compromise the information. Second, that it denies unauthorized access. No company or individual would want their strategy or exclusive plans to go into the hands of any other entity, and cybersecurity helps to achieve this and denies entry to anyone trying to access information through the front door. And it prevents hacking. That is, hacking is both ethically and legally unacceptable, and cybersecurity puts up a strong defense against the hackers and protects the computer. The demerits can be that it is difficult to set up. A cybersecurity system is difficult to set up for any average user. It requires technical knowledge and a professional to implement them. And second is that there is constant need to update the security. Technology advances every minute and so do security systems. The user has to update his security system as any missed update can put the whole system at a huge risk. Last could be that the security patches may backfire. When your content management system realizes a new security update or patch, hackers can compare the patched and unpatched files to know the weaknesses. Hence, the security patches may backfire on the very system it was meant to secure. Now, relation of cybersecurity with the healthcare can be defined under several heads, such as that it is comprehensive and is not restricted to one section, but it is an enterprise-wide system. It automates the clinical and administrative functions. Introduction of EMR, that is electronic medical records, has made documentation of the patient's data much easier and convenient. Introduction of cybersecurity has improved operational effectiveness and helped in the cost reduction as well. It also leads to quality patient care and reduced patients' time by digitalizing all the previous records. Now, my friend Tushar Vashne will lead the overview of the case study. Thank you.
Thank you, Shazid. Now I'm presenting the overview of the case study. So the case study is about the Sunny Lake Hospitals, and Paul Lehman is the CEO of Sunny Lake Hospitals. He has an idea that he converted all the paper records with the help of the cutting edge technology into EMRs, that are the electronic medical records. One day, what happens on one Friday, Paul received the mail from an unidentified and allegedly illiterate sender that asked for $1 lakh for ensuring the security system of the hospital. It did not provoke any anxiety in him in the starting, as he has blind faith on Jacob. Jacob Dale is the IT director of the hospital, and he is the one who looks after all the smooth functioning of the hospital. Second mail wrote that we warned you. After second mail, the accessibility of the records gone into the hands of the hackers, as the doctors, nurses, and administrators are the only ones who have the access of all the records. So whenever they tried to log in the records, it showed access denied. After some time, the third mail came when Jacob was with Paul, and then Jacob described about the crime. After this, the chaos happened as the staff never experienced something like this before. All this made the hospital at standstill as they are not able to access any records and attend the patients. So Jacob and his team were recovering the records, but it was taking a lot of time, so there was no quick fix. Lisa Mankins, the head of the legal counsel, explained that explained that it will cost a lot of money, risk, and time to take legal actions. As she also tried to cut the legal cost because it will cost a lot more than the ransom the hackers have asked for. Then George Knudsen, the chief of staff, stormed into the CEO's office and explained that that they should recover everything as soon as possible because it is making their staff look incompetent and their reputation has been degraded. Now Palaksh will continue with the question and answer.
Thank you, Tushar. So the overview which we have just heard, keeping that in mind, we have encountered a certain number of the questions. And the first and the most important question is that about the evaluation of the action of the hospital staff, which they did to tackle the situation. There was dereliction of the duty. They had failed miserably and were not able to tackle the odd situation. They also had a night CEO which was not able to cope up with the prompt decision making which was required to tackle the situation. The communication within the organization was also ill, and because of which there was chaos in the organization during the unfavorable situation. The approach which the hospital staff actually took to solve the problem was also negative. It should have been met with the multitasking and a positive approach, but it was only dealt with ineffectiveness and delay in the decision making. They were also unable to chalk out a strategy to tackle the situation. The next and the most important question probably is that why the company did not approach any professional assistance. The answer to that starts with they had blind trust in Jacob. Jacob, who was also the IT director of the company, was so much trusted by the CEO that he did not even look at the slightest possibility that if Jacob failed, then who would have the backup. The second most important point in this is that they believed that they could find a solution. This portrayed their overconfidence, and which was ultimately led to the failure because they were not able to outlaw the hackers and ultimately led to nowhere. The third is that they had fear of getting infamous, which never left their mind, and also this also indirectly affected their decision making. They were also unable to use the time which was in their hand efficiently. It was wasted and which was not acceptable at all. The Probably the most important point is that it would have made look the staff of the hospital incompetent, which was not acceptable to the staff itself. The third important question which we encountered is that recording of the data can be done on the paper as well as on the EMR. So why can't we switch back to the traditional way? The answer starts with that switching on to the traditional way and the paperback way, which only will only mean taking a step backward in the past. This will hinder the growth of the organization, and in the era when we have to face every challenge head on, it will only make the organization lost to the past in its past. The approach that we required is to better analyze the mistake and work upon it. We need to mend the loopholes which led to the setback. We need to keep in mind that the benefits of the EMR are comparatively more and has led to the simplified work of the staff, and the management has become also more streamlined. Now, I would like to hand over to Abdullah to further continue the question and the answer part. Thank you.
Thank you, Palaksh. Good morning, all. I will continue with the questions. So, why was there so much negligence on the part of the hospital's management? The hospital's management was afraid of getting their image maligned, and therefore they became negligent and they did not seek consultancy from outside. The hospital was started quite recently by Paul, and therefore the staff was also new. So we can say that they were short on experience as they had not faced such a situation before. We can also say that the management was incompetent, as can be seen from the case of Lisa, who was the head of the legal counsel, but even she was not able to come up with any fruitful solution. Finally, we can say that Paul had a lot of overconfidence on his IT director, Jacob, because it was Jacob's technology which took the hospital from a small backwater community care center to a prominent small hospital. But when faced with a calamity of this magnitude, even he was helpless. Next important question is, should the hospital management hold a press conference to relay the incident which happened? The topmost concern should be to retrieve the online data which has been hacked by the hackers so that the treatment of patients can resume without any hassle. According to us, the press conference won't be useful as the hackers will remain hidden behind an unknown identity, whereas the fame of the hospital will take a big hit because the hospital has made a name for itself in the last 3 years that will be affected. So further, if this whole fiasco is revealed to the outside world, then this bad coverage will further lower the spirits of the employees who are already short on confidence, and they might get further demotivated. So press conference can be done later once the whole issue is resolved, so that other hospitals are also alerted to the incident which happened at the Sunny Lake Hospital. And if in future a similar strike arrives, so they can be better prepared to deal with it. Another question is, what should have been the ideal take of the chief executive officer on handling the current scenario? The chief executive officer should have sought help of experts, cyber and network professionals in the morning itself, as soon as the system was hacked. He should have had a talk with the senior doctors and asked them to coordinate with the management and told them that they should carry on with the treatment of patients without the data for the time being. So the CEO should have consulted a top lawyer who has a history of tackling cyber security cases without thinking about the monetary expenses which will be incurred. Because as a head of the organization, it is his duty to safeguard the lives of the patients. Finally, he should have arrived at a conclusion which would have solved the problem before the evening itself. Thank you so much. Now my friend Omar will continue from here.
Good morning, everyone. So we have this question part. Should the CEO have paid ransom as asked? Would that be under ethical code of conduct? No, the CEO should not entertain the demand of the hackers. They should follow the proper legal and technical procedures. All the team should work in a collective manner with a high team spirit. It's a teamwork without panicking. They should work with the patience and competence. The CEO and team and various team heads should commiserate the members. The CEO and leaders need to have a vision and a plan which will steer them out from this chaotic situation. They should make plans, but they should also need to formulate proper ways to channel these plans as well. Because sometimes we have great plans, but we don't know how to execute them. And they should keep their ethical and moral spirits high without falling in the junk pit of unethical spirits and unethical ways. Now moving to the another question. Legal exposure is needed in such cases. Should they opt for it? Yes, they should opt for legal assistance. It is one of the most important steps. They should hire people who are expert in tech legal disputes or crimes. They should give equal opportunities to all the team members so they can also open up the ideas. They should follow provisions, rules and regulations formulated by the competent legal authorities and organizations. This whole process, as we know, is very delicate. So the steps should be taken cautiously, carefully, under the guidance and monitoring of the experts. Only then we can choose the path that will make us out from this situation. Now, my friend, my fellow mate Kushagra will take on from here.
Okay, so now I'll be explaining you all the roles in the system and management of the hospital. First one was the lack of futuristic vision on long-term security of the system. The EMRs were introduced 3-4 years back, but they had not prepared themselves for these type of situations in advance. That is lack of proactive approach. Second was the overconfidence of the CEO and IT director of the hospital. In spite of several unsuccessful attempts by the IT team, they did not approach any certified IT professional. Third was that the employees of the hospital were not properly trained regarding how to deal with the unethical practices. Then there was lack of easily accessible backup, as they had backup, but it was a timely process to fetch all the records from a secondary server. Also, they did not have any provision for email filtration, as it might be a possibility that the hackers had entered into the system when CEO opened the mail received and the public infrastructure to authenticate sender's identity was not there. And at last, there was a lack of strong identification system. That is, the network was open to all. There was no user detection system present. Then we'll move to the inferences that we drawn from the given case. There was both technical as well as human error on the part of the hospital. They failed in assessing the risk, and when they got to know, they did not act immediately. Second, there was negligence of those charged with the governance of the hospital. They have introduced such a system without any prior training to the employees, an easily accessible backup system, and now they had no way to deliver the records to the doctors. The role of the CEO was also questionable, as he was not able to take early preventive measures to tackle the situation. After receiving the first email, he forgot about the matter over the weekend. Then there was question on security of the hospital as well, because there might be a possibility that the system was hacked from inside the hospital's workstation. Next was language of the mails received indicated that the hackers might be amateur and allegedly illiterate, as it was an informal language, and it puts a question on the pretension of the IT team of the hospital. Then there was communication gap between the management and the staff of the hospital. They were not able to communicate their views, due to which the staff of the hospital panicked. And even after knowing the risk involved, they did not approach any certified IT professional to resolve the matter at the earliest. They kept on trusting their IT team without any second thoughts. The hospital tried to curse the legal cost of legal affairs as well, because if they had fought this legally, it would have cost in millions to the hospital. They did not have any legal exposure in IT cases earlier. The next one is there was lack of advanced tools and technologies for safeguarding the information resources, like managed detection and response services, abbreviated as MDR. Then, at last, the George Knudsen, who was the chief of the staff, lacked interpersonal skills, as he was not cooperative with the CEO of the hospital in their tough times, and their thoughts were not in line. Now, the suggestions part will be presented by Deepa. So, over to you, Deepa. Thank you.
Thank you, Kushak. Good morning, everyone. Here are the suggestions that can help. First of all, they should hire an emotionally neutral negotiator, because as the process moves forward, the negotiator can pass information between the two sides and can work out terms and logistics. After that, IT needs to run a malware scan on every workstation in the hospital in case the attack would have come via an employee computer. After malware scan, system administrators need to regain their passwords and recover control. This means shutting down servers, performing a secure delete on all the server disks, restoring the servers and data, and making sure that the security programs are fully updated and operational. In this way, they should try to restore the computer to a previous state. They should try to access data backup so the doctors can start treating their patients. It can be any kind of backup, soft copies or hard copies. The hospital administration should report the police and cyber forensic division, because they can try to track down the hackers and put a stop to their enterprise. They should deal with the media very directly, because it will help in raising awareness of the threat. They can take help of some online decrypting tools also, because it can help decrypt files encrypted by this system by ransomware. They should hire a legally certified hacker who can examine the code line by line and can thoroughly clean the codes. Paul needs to provide full disclosure of the problem to his various constituents and patients because they have the right to know everything clearly, and he should understand that in today's networked environment there are absolutely no secrets. As a CEO, it is the duty of Paul to motivate doctors and medical staff to give their best because they used to work even before when there was no EMR system. At least the senior ones. He should be more vocal to his counterparts and public as it will open paths for getting new solutions and will also help in regaining their trust on the hospital. Paul and the board should stay fully alert in this digital equivalent of hand-to-hand combat as they are responsible for good business judgment in guarding against the threat. So they should give their best to get the hospital running again. If even trying each and every solution the problem is not get solved, then just this once they have to pay the ransom demanded by the extortionists because eventually when money is dropped the whole episode would be over. After all, it is a matter of many lives. But from now, hospital administration must make the security the number one priority and ensure that nothing like that would happen again. Now the security plans will be discussed by my friend Vanshika Vashne.
Thank you, Deepa. Now we will be looking for the security plans. As the saying says, prevention is better than cure. Security plans are must for any organization, especially when we are talking about the healthcare organization that are dealing with the lives directly. Thus, the strict security policies and information privacy policies are important for the security awareness of the organization. At the same time, installation of the network-based detection system to prevent the loss of data in any form. Also, all the potentially dangerous ports and websites should be blocked as the proactive approach. Upgradation of the system along with the professionals and the staff should be done without any hesitation whenever required. Backup in the form of flash drives or hard drives should always be there for any emergency situations. At regular interval, MIS audit that is often used to examine the internal security environment of the organization. Along with it, risk analysis to check the vulnerability of the system and the further anticipation of the future risk. Isolation of intranet from the internet should also be considered as the option. Limited access to the users to prevent any internal or external data breaches. Anti-spyware software that is used as a defensive tool technology should also be considered as an option to prevent any further any virus invasions. Intrusion detection system for the full-time monitoring of the hotspots to detect the intruders continuously. At last, to unify all the various tools that we have installed or used into single appliances, there is the need for the unified threat management system that is also called as UTM. Now, Yashashvi will be covering the key learnings and the conclusion part.
Thank you, Vanshika. I'll present the key learnings that we all concluded from this case study. First of all, that management should be competent enough to tackle any crisis at a given point of time while maintaining the morale of their employees. The software system of the organization should be shielded in such a way that there is minimum probability of anyone hacking it. The backup should be tested and effective, that is, it should be easily accessible in times of need. There should be a special unit for dealing with cyber attacks apart from the IT team. In many a times, what happens is that certain section of the institute specializes in their respective fields only, like salespeople in marketing, finance people in accounts, so on and so forth. So they should also be given the training of the cyber security. More focus should be laid on research and development unit of the institute. Timely risk assessment should be done at frequent intervals. We can also say that workstation of the company should use authorized biometrics, as there was a possibility that somebody from the company might have been at a fault. Institutes use same passwords for a very long period, and that's why frequent password alterations should be done to avoid cyber attacks. Companies should have advanced defensive systems to block any unauthorized intrusion. There should be smooth communication flow within the organization. That is, there shouldn't be a hierarchical setup. All level of workers can reach out to top level managers without any intermediaries. So from this case study, we were able to conclude a few drawings. And the first of all, the most important drawing that we can say is that everyone should comply with the position and his responsibilities. No matter the CEO or the frontline worker, each of them should take their job seriously. We also came to know that no internet base is 100% secure. So there is always a chance that there could be a cyber attack. Better late than sorry does not apply in this case because you can't take risk with important data. Inexperienced employees should not be trusted completely, but instead those who have experience or are professionals can deal with this situation in a better way. Technology is undoubtedly important for productivity and effectiveness, but with proper implementation, because we can see that many people have amazing ideas, but the most important job is to bring them on the ground. The main idea of the case study can be concluded as that the ignorance can lead to bigger problems than ever imagined, as we can see in this case that by neglecting one male only, the CEO and the hospital had to pay a hefty price. This sums up our presentation based on the case study. Thank you everyone for giving your precious time, and ma'am, we will request you to please assess our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now the house is open for questions. Students from other groups can ask questions. Relevant questions will get additional marks. So I give a chance to the students. Students from other groups can ask questions. Shiraz will ask.
Okay, Pratiksha,
Yes.
I have a question to you. What is the Pentagon? You mentioned the 1986 cyber attack. So, what is Pentagon?
Pentagon.
Just let me introduce him. He's Shiraz Khan. He's an ex-student of MHA. MBA Healthcare is completed, so I've called him over to help in the presentation.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, my question, what is the Pentagon?
Pentagon is an organization that stores all the confidential information about the defense system in the US, and it has many. The attack that happened on 9/11, it also included Pentagon attacks. So it is named as Pentagon because of its shape, and it is one of the most important buildings of US, United States.
Shazib Siddiqui,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned the pros and cons of cybersecurity, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I have no question. You presented them very well. Tushar,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, past layman CEO.
Sir, please repeat, sir. I didn't get it.
Past,
So there's connectivity issue from your side.
Ma'am, there's connectivity issue.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
so Tushar, did you hear the question?
No, sir. So please repeat the question.
Tushar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please repeat the question.
Okay.
Tushar, my question for you is, who is the past layman CEO which you mentioned in your slide?
It was not given, sir. Paul Lehman was the CEO of Sunny Lake Hospitals.
I think he meant Paul Lehman, CEO.
So we were given the part of the case study. We were not given the whole detailed case study that we have discussed with the ma'am as well.
Should I move on to Palak Sharma?
Yes.
Palak Sharma?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So dereliction of duty. You mentioned dereliction of duty. So what could they have done so as to label them competent? You are saying dereliction of duty. So what could they have done so as to label them competent at that point of time?
Sir, at that point of time, the situation was already not in their hand. So the most important thing which they would have done is that completely use the system of the information which they know about the hackers, and then ask out for the professional assistance, not publicly, but yes, from the back end, so that they have a backups, and they can retrieve the records, because there were surgeries going on and the doctors were not able to get the records, which were ultimately affecting the patients negatively. So at least they would have gotten that time to make up to the situation.
Okay. So Palak, one more question for you is any one advantage of EMR over paper records, paper medical records? Any one advantage which you can think of?
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat?
Any one advantage of EMR over paper medical records? Any one that you can mention? Any one advantage?
They are time saving. The manual labor is decreased.
Okay, nice. Now, Abdullah, you mentioned about the press conference and assistance of a professional. Can you just elaborate a little bit more? Why press conference? Why was the significance of press conference and having an assistance of a professional? Just a little bit, if you can add to this.
Sir, please kindly repeat, sir. I didn't get you.
Why was the need of a press conference? You mentioned, no? They should have a press conference. And why do you think there is a need for a press conference?
Okay, so some members are of the opinion that there should be a press conference, but the press conference should not be immediate. I think we should let the issue be resolved. Like they should get back the data after appointing a negotiator who will talk with the hackers, and once whether they pay the ransom or whatever they decide, once the whole issue is over. So we thought that there should be a press conference. We should alert the whole world that what happened at this hospital. So it will be for the benefit of the whole world that if for a similar attack is carried out by the hackers to other hospitals, so they will not have to face the similar type of situation which this hospital was facing. So they will also get a lot of ideas and knowledge on how to deal with situation and how to overcome this.
Abdullah, I'd just like to add here, it's for the entire group to answer. If you go for a PC press conference, there's a loss of reputation for the company, Sunny Lake. So how do you react to that?
Yes, ma'am. Initially, that's why we thought that it would not be a great idea to do a press conference initially, because it will badly affect the image and reputation. So the workers will get demotivated and they will not be able to take quick and cool decisions. But later on, the press conference can be conducted. It's optional. It's not necessary. If the issue is resolved,
as a board member, let's say your board members, what should your opinion be? You should go in for a press conference, yes or no? I mean, as a member, you attend in the board. What is your decision?
When not immediately, we should perform the press conference only when any of the patient file any of the case, then we have to disclose that what is the problem which lead to the press conference as well.
Ma'am, if it's a public company, we'll
Also,
go for a
ma'am,
press
sooner
conference.
or later, it is gonna be public. So we have to be prepared for it. But our priority at the moment should be to get our system back at the most.
Vanshika very well answered. At the moment, our priority should be to set things in order. And of course, it's going to leak out. It's better to go in for a press conference, but at a later date. Very well answered. Any question?
Umar Mustafa?
Yes,
Umar?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
You mentioned legal assistance. Do you, how much time do you think would have legal assistance taken before it could have solved the matter?
So, around a month.
So, do you think they had 1 month? Patients' lives were at stake. Do you think that was
No, sir, it's not about the time, but it's about the situation, not just a case of this hospital, but these types of hacker will keep attacking various other hospitals as well. So we have to take an action.
Just repeat, what was your final decision? That you appoint a mediator?
emotionally neutral negotiator? You mentioned this.
So you're willing to pay the ransom?
Ma'am, actually I didn't get you.
No, what is your stand? You use a mediator, a neutral, what was it? Emotionally
Emotionally neutral
negotiator, and you're willing to pay the ransom.
Ma'am, actually, hiring an emotionally neutral negotiator can pass in is acceptable because he can pass information between the two sides and can work out on terms. While Jacob Dale's IT team works on getting the system run.
Yes,
So that
ma'am.
means you're willing to negotiate and pay the ransom.
Ma'am, we will be looking for multiple decisions at particular time. If something not works, because we are dealing with the lives of people. So if something not works, we should have a plan B, C at the moment working. So if our system can't get operated in few moments or in few hours, we should be looking for a negotiator that will be talking with the hackers at the same times also in touch with us.
Yes, ma'am. So the first plan would be taking legal assistance, and after that, if nothing happens through that, thereafter we can go for emotional neutral negotiator.
Final answer, final question would be legally certified hacker.
There was
Deepa, you mentioned legally certified hacker. Do you think such an entity exists?
Yes, sir. I think such an entity do exist.
No, see, hacking itself is a crime. So
No, sir.
legally certified
No,
hacker.
sir.
No, sir,
Actually,
there is
hacking
ethical
is
hacking. Ethical.
No, sir. Actually,
hacking is
hacking
ethical, but cracking is unethical.
hacker and cracker, according to DISAR, hacker is someone who has knowledge of information systems or such softwares. Cracker is one with the bad intentions.
Sir, there are certified professionals who are experts. So whenever a system gets hacked, they help in retrieving the data. So they are certified for that purpose only.
With ethical ways.
Okay, just I want from all of you 3 key learnings when any crisis takes place. Anyone can answer. 3 key learnings. Yes, Shahzad.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, key learnings, like according to me, first which like I have learned.
Yes, 3 key learnings from
You should
any crisis.
like, yes, ma'am. About crisis, react quick and effectively. Don't drag it. Don't take things in your own hand if you're not good at something. When you know you're not good at, contact the professionals. That might reduce the time, and work will be done effectively. And
Abdullah, Umar Vasika, Vanchika, Deepa can see.
Yes, ma'am. We after this crisis, we come to learn that it's a teamwork. We have to work with the team members.
I mean, we should have an foresight of vision. When we are dealing with something new, we should have security plans, backups already in use that are tested and factored. Firstly, secondly, ignorance, the negligence that happens on the part of CEO when he got the first mail. Things could be settled down very first at that moment if he would have made conversation with the team. So I think they should never be ignored
And
whenever you get such a
ma'am,
situation.
I
We
would just
can't
like
leave
to
our
add one
ethical ways
important
as
point.
well.
A proper
May I
coordination
just
between the team should be there.
And we also get to know the greatest vulnerable control points in our security system.
Okay. Yashasvi is also part of this group. I can't hear her speak. Yes.
Ma'am, I spoke on the point that first of all we should take legal assistance, and after that everybody was there answering. So I was like,
What is your contribution to one key learning, let's say?
in key, first of all, as everybody mentioned that management is important, but the thing that communication flow should be there because in the starting, if we talk about particular case, Jacob and Paul had this conversation when the just taking a person around. So there was no proper information exchange between both of them because Drake was the IT director, right? So he should have any preventive measures which shouldn't have to this extreme situation. So communication is one of the most important stuff that I have come across this case.
Okay, thank you. It was a good presentation. By evening, I'll provide feedback. Not your marks, but I'll give you feedback on the entire group's presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Second
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
ERP implementation failure. We can have the second group presentation.
Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Anam's group, I think. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, shall we begin?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Sabha, let's get started.
Okay. Good morning, ma'am, and good morning, everyone. Today, my group will be presenting a case study on ERP implementation failure. Before starting our discussion on the case study, let us understand what is ERP, look at its brief history and advantages and disadvantages. So as you can see on your screen, the definition says ERP refers to a type of software that an organization uses to manage day-to-day business activities such as accounting, procurement, project management, risk management, compliance, and supply chain operations. A complete ERP suite also includes enterprise performance management, software that helps to plan, budget, predict, and report on an organization's financial result. Now let us look at some examples of ERP softwares used by the companies. First example is Oracle NetSuite. It is a fully customizable ERP software to improve your company's growth. Some powerful features include financial planning, production management, and order management, and it also accommodates to your needs regardless of the business you are in. The second example is Microsoft Dynamics 365. It is a reliable and powerful ERP software. It is flexible. It also used by the top brands like Coca-Cola, BMW, Adobe, and etc. The third example mentioned here is SAP Business One. It provides industry-specific solutions for small businesses. It includes features like inventory management, sales, marketing, CRM, reporting, and analytics, which helps to provide a one full service solution to your business and also provide a complete visibility and control to your business. The fourth example is Sage 300, which is a cloud-based ERP software which is useful for the business in international e-commerce, and it is particularly designed for medium-sized businesses. It also helps in making the company's financial management simpler. And on your screen, you can see there are two pictures. The pictures on the left-hand side shows the different ERP softwares, and the right-hand side shows the number of the companies and the ERP platforms used by them. Now I would like to hand over to my friend Aziz to continue with his part of explanation.
Just thank you, Mahin. Now let us discuss the brief history of ERP. So ERP history started with material requirements spanning MRP system in the 1960s, when GI Case, a manufacturer of tractor and construction machinery, worked with IBM to develop what is believed to be the first MRP system. At that time, manufacturers needed a better way to manage, track, and control their inventory. MRP systems were developed to meet their needs. These systems helped manufacturers monitor inventory, reconcile balances, as well as included very basic manufacturing, purchasing, and delivery functions. But there was some problem with MRP that they were very expensive to create, required a team of experts to maintain, and took up a lot of space. MRP system gained traction in the 1970s, but the technology remained limited to large companies that had the budget and resources for the in-house development. Then in 80s marked a milestone in the history of ERP systems when the first MRP2 systems appeared. MRP2 systems allowed the various departments involved in manufacturing to coordinate, and they had more advanced production scheduling capabilities. And in the 90s, the first true ERP system came into use, which was introduced by the research firm Gartner. Then this is when ERP system took on their current identity, a unified database for information from across the company. ERP systems brought in other business functions like accounting, sales, marketing, HR, etc. to serve as a single source of accurate data for all employees. And in 90s, ERP systems got the major breakthrough by the advent of Cloud ERP, first offered by NetSuite in 98. With Cloud ERP, businesses could access critical business data through the web from any device with an internet connection. Cloud solutions meant companies no longer needed to purchase and maintain hardware, reducing the need for IT staffers and leading to easier implementation.
This cloud model made ERP systems once limited to enterprises accessible to smaller companies that lacked the capital to launch and support a resource-intensive on-premises solutions. And today, leading ERP systems are vast repositories of information able to generate reports that can spotlight the performance of the business from sales and marketing to product development to HR and operations. So that's it. Now mine will take over.
I will be explaining the ERPS modules. As we all know, information is a vital resource and it needs to be shared with every department in the organization. So it's very important to integrate, and that's when an ERP system came into existence. The ERP system pulls up data from a number of modules that are presented on your screen and is built to help various departments perform their individual functions. We have common ERP modules that support back and front office functions like production, CRM, finance and accounting, inventory management. We have more functionally rich systems that also includes professional services automation, human resources, e-commerce, and marketing automation, to name a few. With this modular design, an ERP solution must be able to meet the shifting needs of a company, starting with the most relevant modules and then adding more modules to address the new needs as it continues to evolve. By centralizing these modules in one ERP solution, it allows the companies to automate more business processes. It makes employees more productive as it reduces manual tasks and errors. It minimizes issues around data accuracy and consistency. It ensures that everyone in the company has the access for same information to allow better decision making. Now, I would like to hand over to Omar to present a live module to live.
Moving on to ERP software demo, we would have presented a live demo of ERP software, as it is not an open source software, so we managed to get a hand on some snaps from Sage 100 software. As you can see on your screen, so basically this is a dashboard of Sage 100. We have many modules in a single software. Examples are on the left of your screen. We have business insights, general ledger, payrolls, purchase order, HR, etc., and inventory management. So let's have a look on inventory management, which is for distribution purposes. We have inventory counts, product type, retail price, last sold data, all the other relevant data, which is in real time with accurate informations. Then we have cost detail, in which we have receipt date, receipt number. Adi, can you please? Receipt date, receipt number, quantities, cost per units, and also other such relevant details. Company's most important resource is your employee. No worries, we have Sage Human Resources got us covered, in which we can manage payrolls with all details of your employee, such as number of days worked, total hours worked, and net amount paid. And also we have bank account details and check paid on which date as well. These were some of many advanced tools which ERP softwares can provide us. Now Usman will address advantages and disadvantages of ERP system.
Okay, advantages of ERP system. There are many advantages of ERP system. Some of those are integrated information among all departments. Earlier, the company used to store information in each department database. So the information would only be shared within that particular department. If the department wish to get the data, they have to get approval from that particular department. By using ERP system, the system can store all the information across all the department in a single database, which means all the employees from the different department can use the information from the database without other department approval. Second is total visibility. ERP allows total access to every important or major process in the business by allowing data accessible from every department to the management. Through this, management is able to control inventory level on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. By knowing precisely where the company stands regarding inventory level, it helps management to control working capital in a more precise way. The availability of all companies' information in a centralized location, increased collaboration, and more streamlined completion of work. This complete visibility provides better workflows. Now, third one is improved reporting and planning. By using ERP system, organization has a single unified reporting system for every process. ERP system has ability to compare and analyze functions across the department. ERP system allows management to produce their own custom reports. ERP system has also improved communication. Phone and video conferences, emails, and scan of physical documents are also used in department. And ERP helps manage different form of communication, so employees can stay in touch whether it is with their own department, vendors, or customer. Now I would like Johar to explain disadvantages of ERP system.
Okay, thank you, Usman. Disadvantages of ERP system. First, cost of ERP system is very high. The upfront cost of the software alone can be very high, especially for small and medium companies. Even though this cost can be avoided using a cloud solution with a monthly basis payment, but that too has its own disadvantages. User can only continue to access the data if they continue paying. Second, decrease in effectiveness while completing tasks. A company should understand that implementing the system require a long time. This is because it takes a time to do a migration of data, organize the training courses for employees and other tasks. This can bring a huge amount of loss to the company in terms of time and cost. The process of implementation can take up from a month to a year. If the company did not handle it properly on the possible risks, they likely suffer losses. Third, user participation is must. For a successful implementation of ERS system, there is a must that every employee in the organization should participate in using the system. To use the system effectively, it requires training and learning sessions for the employees in order to understand the system and work. However, it may be hard for a certain group, especially the older generation, to learn the whole process in the ERP system. And finally, customization process. This process take a lot of time, effort, and money and expertise. Business often completely underestimate how many resources are needed and either don't finish their customization or end up going way over the budget. Many companies may also lean on customization when their chosen system does not really fulfill their business needs. This could lead to diminishing the best practices built into the system and make it more difficult to upgrade in the future. Now I like Adil to present.
So there were many reasons for the failure. One such reason was the failure to embrace the changes, as many organizations failed to have a perception and they underestimated the drastic changes that ERP can bring about in the structural functioning. The first thing that an organization should do is to determine if an ERP system is even suitable to their structure. And another reason for the failure could be that they failed to set up realistic expectations. Many organizations do not have a clear goal and proper use of ERP software in their mind before implementing them in their organization. For that, organizations should have their own bar for what failure and success are. And they should also try to align their goals with the ERP software and should have a predefined clear goals. And I would like to call Anam for the further details.
So now the next cause of failure of ERP implementation that we're going to look for is lack of commitment by executive management. As we are aware that ERP implementation is a long and an invasive process. So patience and education both is important on the part of the executives. There's a possibility that the executives might think of ERP as any other IT system and think that it is not worth the money it costs. They also might want to cut down the expenses on other software programs required for proper ERP implementation. So, in conclusion of this course, we can say that executives have to be educated on why their company might need an ERP and what are the benefits that ERP brings along with it. Further, these executives need to be incentivized in order to get them properly committed to the implementation process. Now, I'd like to invite Faisal.
The assumptions regarding employees. The employees also need to be trained and coached. Often organizations do not spend enough resources in training their employees and focus more on just getting things done. This is further aggravated by resistance from people. They don't easily open up to new technology. The assumption that the employees must be already well adapted to the ERP system jeopardizes the chances of the success of ERP implementation in the organization. I would like to invite Adil Masood.
Thank you, Adil. And now we will be discussing the difficulties in loading data in an ERP system. Now, there are many difficulties faced by loading the data in an ERP system. There are various methods that help in loading the data, which are data mapping, data cleanup, and data loading. Now, let's first see what is data mapping. Now, data mapping is the process of matching fields from one database to another. It's the first step to facilitate data migration, data integration, and other data management tasks. Now, data mapping is crucial to the success of any data process. One misstep in data mapping can ripple throughout the organization, leading to replicated errors and ultimately to inaccurate analysis. Now let's look at what is data cleansing. Now implementing a data cleansing software along with an ERP software not only makes sense for a project's success and ROI standpoint, but also from a budgetary perspective. Now in order to maximize ERP functionality and project success, legacy data must be merged together and it should be clean and migrated into a new system. Now, for those of you who are wondering what legacy data is, it's information stored in an old or obsolete format computer that is therefore difficult to access or process. Now, in the word data cleansing, cleansing implies that the data now maintains a standard nomenclature, poses a valid attribute-rich descriptions, and has been properly formatted to the specified system requirements. Now, let's look at what is data loading. Now, data loading is the shifting and conversion of data from the old format to the new format supported by the new ERP software. It is done while loading new data in the current software or when shifting the data to a new ERP system. Now, with this, we have discussed what. Now, let's look at the case studies. We have discussed the difficulties. Now, look at the case studies. Now, first case study that we will be discussing is the Hershey's Candies case study. Now, Hershey's is a 147-year-old confectioner which is headquartered in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The enterprise saw the implementation of the ERP platform as being central to its future growth. Now, consequently, rather than approaching its business challenge on the basis of an iterative approach, it decided to execute a holistic plan involving every operation at the center of the company. Now, subsequently, SAP was engaged. Now, SAP is a software, is a ERP software which is used. So, SAP was engaged to implement a $10 million system upgrade. However, management problems emerged immediately as soon as the SAP was engaged. Now, the impact of this decision represented a complete chaos where the company was unable to conduct the business because everything was centralized. So, there was a flux simultaneously. There was a operating mechanism. In the operating mechanism, there was a flux simultaneously. Now, the consequent result was the loss of $150 million in revenue, a 19% reduction in the share price, and the loss of 12% in the international market share. Now, a key takeaway which we can take from this is that poor management can scupper implementation even you have selected the perfect system. So it is important that the management is trained well for the new ERP software so that they can work accordingly. Now, I would like to hand over the presentation to Adil again.
Pacific Gas and Electric Company failure 2016. Another instance of failure of proper ERP implementation is when PG&E ended up leaking its own data into market in 2016. A manager had chosen a live information database to use during pre-launching testing, which ended up uncovering sensitive company information. It was around 30,000 files that were available in public domain for more than 70 years until the Whitehead researcher gave the data to the PG&E company. Consequently, the company had to create a host of costly recovery program in addition to losing public confidence in the company's brand. The key takeaway from this example is brief your staff on exactly what they should do and do not. Don't get non-specialized staff to carry out specialized role. Now I would like to invite Anand Rizwan.
So the next case study that we're going to look is of Whirlpool. So as we all know, Whirlpool is an electrical appliance company which also provides services to its customers. Earlier, these services were recorded manually, which was obviously a time-consuming process, and also the reach was limited. So in order to save time and increase their reach, they finally decided to implement the ERP system with the goal to serve one extra customer. They were of the view that they will let the ERP system set their daily routes, but the consequences were not as per the plan. The ERP system design couldn't track the orders outside a certain territory, therefore creating chaos. This resulted in backlash by the customers, leading to decrease in sales and obviously new challenges for the employees. A key takeaway from this whole case study we can conclude is that Whirlpool should have properly trained and educated their employees and properly customized the ERP software to suit their needs before launching the program. That is, it should have been in an alignment with the business strategy and the business goals. They underestimated obviously the ERP's complexity. Now moving to the essence of all these case studies that we just looked. Company implementing ERP should have a very clear vision regarding what it wants from its employees and the software. It should have realistic expectations as to the performance boost the software will provide the company with. That is, the goals that they're setting for themselves through the ERP software should be in such a way that they're measurable, achievable, and realistic, obviously. Unnecessarily cutting corners will increase the chances of failure of ERP implementation. And as we are already aware, ERP is a long, invasive, time, and a money-consuming process. Both the employees and the executives should be given incentives in order to get them properly committed to the entire process. In addition to increasing the chances of the success of ERP implementation, this incentivization will play a huge role in retaining the employees. Thank you. That's from our side.
We ask you to ask.
Now the house is open for questions. Anybody can ask any question. And if relevant questions are asked, you get positive points. Shiraz?
Azizur Rahman, can you hear me? Azizur Rahman.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Azizur, what is an MRP system? You mentioned MRP system. What is it?
So MRP system is basically the predecessor of a ERP system. Like when MRP systems evolved and it becomes ERP system.
My Mazhar.
Yes, sir.
Mazhar, can you?
Yes.
Okay. What is inventory management? What is this inventory management? You must have you have mentioned it in your ERP module diagram. There is a word inventory management. What is it?
So it is a function of understanding stock mix of company and that deals with different demands of the stock.
Okay. And Umar, what is the full form of SAGE? SAGE, you mentioned SAGE inventory management. So what is the full form of SAGE? Umar.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Full
Sage
form of
100
SAGE.
is the full form of Sage, sir. Right now I can't remember it, but it's a
The
cloud.
Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies.
Yes, exactly. That is the full form of SAGE. And I have a question for Johar Lais Khan. Johar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you mentioned decreased effectiveness during implementation. One of the disadvantages was decreased effectiveness during installation. What do you mean by that?
Sir, due to this, sir, because this is a new system, people are hesitant to adopt the technology, and sir, it lead to decreased effectiveness for a certain time.
This is an open question for anyone from the group can answer. Full form of SAP. SAP, it was mentioned in the.
Yes,
what is the
sir.
full form?
It's a system application and
product in data processing.
That's it from us.
It was a good presentation. I will give you the feedback in the evening. Only one
Thank
thing,
you
of
so
course,
much.
which I'll put back also.
Thank you, ma'am.
That,
you,
you
ma'am.
had presented very but then there are some problems which I think I'll share with you by evening. I'll
Okay,
text
thank you.
the presentation of each.
Okay,
Okay,
So
sure.
can we
Thank you.
have next group?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you may log out. Students of this group may log out. The third is
Sabiha's group.
Sabiha's
Alibaba.
group. The case study of Alibaba. Sabiha's group. You
Yes,
log
ma'am,
in
we are
now,
here.
share your slides.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, shall I begin? Ma'am, shall we begin?
You may begin. You may begin.
Good morning, respected ma'am and sir, and my dear friends. Today I'm here, Sabiha Akil, going to start a presentation on Alibaba. So we begin with self-tuning algorithm. What is self-tuning algorithm? It is also known as self-adapting system of automatic control, whereby adaptations to randomly changing conditions is performed by means of automatically changing parameters or by automatically determining their optimum configuration. So we see that what is actually a business magic. If we see, we don't have any business magic. Rather, it's just adapting self-tuning algorithm. So who uses it? Internet companies like Google, Amazon, Netflix, and in our case, Alibaba uses it, and it's based on actual developments. These enterprises have become extraordinarily good at automatically retooling their offerings for millions of individual customers, leveraging real-time data on their behavior. This is a way organization to apply algorithmic principles to make frequent calibrated adjustments to their business models, resource allocation processes, and structures. So is there actual real magic in it? No, there is no magic. It's just constant updates that is driven by algorithms, but the process and the technologies underlying the algorithm aren't actual magic. It's possible that we can pull them apart and see how they operate. And it's just what some of our major companies are doing, like Alibaba as well as Amazon, Netflix. Okay, so we know that dynamic management needs, our dynamic markets need a dynamic management, and those constant updates that we get, these people, they adapt it. And to deal with this, our companies tailor their approach to strategy and execution to each environment in which they operate. And because of their increasing pace of change, they need to constantly retune this collage of approaches. And now Sajid will lead us ahead.
Thank you, Sabia. Introduction to Jack Ma. Jack Ma was born on 10 September 1964. He is a Chinese business magnate, investor, and philanthropist. He did his bachelor's from China, Hangzhou Dianzi University. While starting his career, He started as a lecturer of English and international trade because he was passionate of learning English. He is among the co-founder of Alibaba Group and had played a vital role in establishing the G Giant, the e-commerce, which is a giant in itself. Now I would like to put some light on his achievements. In 2004, he was honored as one of the top 10 economic personalities of the year by China's Central Television. Respectively, in 2005, he was selected as a young global leader by the World Economic Forum. He had donated a lot of money while fighting back against the COVID-19. That's why Kingdom of Saudi Arabia honored him with the first class medal for his contribution in the COVID-19. And nowadays, he's among the top entrepreneurs of the world. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Karan for speaking on the topic history of Alibaba.
Thank you, Sajid. So let's talk about history of Alibaba. It was started in 1999. Its initial goal was to be a B2B business, so which led to Alibaba.com. Today, the group has 27,000 employees and spans over 10 businesses. And the valuation of this company is 8 billion. It also has some sub companies or the company which it owns, like Taobao, which started in 2003. The main aim of Taobao was to provide an e-commerce site for the consumers. It also owns Alipay, which was started in 2004 to act as a payment gateway and make transactions safer. Other services of Alibaba include infrastructure services, which was started in 2008. It includes microfinancing, logistic platforms, and cloud computing. In 2011, Taobao was split in 3 parts, which were eTao, Tmall, and Taobao Marketplace. The aim of this split was to explore new businesses. In 2010, it also launched AliExpress. The main aim of AliExpress was to provide a platform for Chinese companies. To sell their products to to international buyers. Now, I would like to invite Dushyant for further presentation.
So thank you, Karan. So let me tell you, the mission of Alibaba Group is to make easy to do business anywhere. So to achieve it, they provide technology, infrastructure, and marketing reach to help merchants, brands, retailers, and other business to leverage the power of new technology to engage with their users and customer in more efficient way. And we know that the self-tuning is related to concept of agility means rapid adjustment, adaptation means learning through trial and error, and ambidexterity means balance, exploration, and exploitation. So self-tuning algorithm incorporated element of all three, but in a self-directed fashion. So if we take example of self-tuning algorithm in recommendation system, which is used by many companies like Alibaba, Google, Amazon, and Netflix, then first task of that system is to maintain balance between exploring noun preferences and exploring different item that can be potential preference. Because if they do not do that and serve too many explore options or product to the user, then the user may become dissatisfied. So manage that trade-off dynamically. The recommendation engine continuously update their suggestion. So what are the basis of recommendation? Firstly, when this system generate new options or recommendation, they first test it economically. Then they provide recommendation on the basis of knowledge of content and customer behavior. And the recommendation engine also track click rate, number of purchases, and the rating given by the customer to improve their future recommendations. And the most impressive thing about the recommendation system is that they can influence our preferences and also creating new ones. So all of these things are executed inside the recommendation engine without any human decision, and there is no analyst had to handcraft recommendation and adjust the exploring rate manually and need to deliberate about the best new option to test the own user. And that allows self-tuning system to operate at high speed. Now I would like to invite Shailesh for further presentation.
Thank you, Dushyant. So I'm covering reinventing the organization. So what is reinventing the organization? Reinventing is basically building a fundamentally new organization, redefining how your organization works, introducing new managerial practices. Besides shaping your work setting, you need to change how to coordinate with the work and the principles that govern it. So why reinventing is necessary? As environment in which you are doing business is changing intensely and your competition is increasing day by day, and in order you to remain in the business and saving your customer base, and you have to change with time. So you have to innovate your products timely. Framework for reinventing the organization. Environment. The pace of change in environment demands ever increasing responsiveness and innovation. Successful organizations look beyond current market conditions to anticipate what next and create what can be. Strategies. Entrepreneurs do not just seek market share, they also anticipate and create market opportunities. They know how to capture these opportunities. Capabilities. Companies win by taking advantages of sharing information about each person's or team's knowledge and others' strengths and becoming truly customer-centric, innovative, and agile. Morphology. The most successful companies have created new organization forms that enable their talent to nimbly capture market changes and opportunities, quickly generate ideas, experiment them, close unprofitable trials, and make big business out of the successful ones. Governance. The best companies make the ecosystem truly connected and collaborative by sharing culture, performance, accountability, ideas, talents, and information. These governance mechanisms guide and reinforce the firm's mission and vision and operations of a firm. Now I would like to call Maria for further presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shailesh. Now, Alibaba's meteoric rise to success is the culmination of a variety of things. Constantly resetting their vision is one of them. The company first makes their best working assumption about the future. Then, they check their hypotheses against reality and therefore revise them as appropriate. For Alibaba, a change in market leads to a change in their vision. Also, Alibaba has paired their flexibility with the following company values to steadily implement their vision. Customers first, employees second, shareholders third. This reflects the choice of what's important in order of priority. Trust makes everything simple. They believe with trust, the result is simplicity and efficiency. Change is the only constant. They understand that the world is changing, their customers are changing, and the competitive landscape is changing. Hence, embracing this change is crucial. Today's best performance is tomorrow's baseline. They believe in challenging, motivating, and exceeding themselves. If not now, when? If not me, who? This was a tagline in Alibaba's first ad job and became their first proverb. Now, it is a call of duty for its employees. Live seriously, work happily. They believe in enjoying work as you enjoy life and treating life as seriously as you do your work. Imbibing these values has developed Alibaba into a business dynamo exhibited by the following sectors that they've expanded into: Chinese retail marketplaces, cross-border and global marketplace, wholesale commerce, also in the space of digital media and entertainment, finance, logistics, and cloud computing. Moreover, they've also ventured into mapping and navigation, local services and delivery. Now, I would like to invite Shivangi to carry this presentation forward.
Thank you, Maria. Now we will learn how Alibaba could build a portfolio of companies that span virtually the entire digital spectrum through experimenting with business model. First, from the very early start, Alibaba committed to business model experimentation. That is, in 2003, Alibaba launched its first venture in C2C market outside the core B2B e-commerce named Taobao, which was the challenger of eBay at that time, which itself made it a pretty risky venture. And that's why it's set up with separate office and funding to run as a separate unit so as to minimize the risk. Second, Alibaba follows the business model to scale up the most promising business and close down or reabsorb the less promising one, which happened in 2006 when Alibaba launched two new businesses. First, Tabao Mall, and second, Alisoft. Tabao Mall, which was later known as Tmall, was a B2C market. It is a platform for established brands to reach Chinese consumer. Even now, it is a major part of group's portfolio. Whereas Alisoft, which is a software as a service wave, was shut down in 2009 because it could not find enough customers. Hence, proving that Alibaba chose to place the bet and let the market pick the winner. Third, Alibaba has the ability to modulate its rate of business model to fit the circumstances, by which, within the 4 year of launch of Tabao, it was able to capture more than 80% of digital Chinese consumer market, and by 2011 became national phenomena. And at last, through the difference of perspective, that is, in 2011, when it was able to capture more than 80% of the market, any other companies would have taken that leadership position as a validation and focused on optimizing the successful model. Whereas Alibaba saw the sustained rapid growth of Chinese online population and increasing sophistication of consumers and retailers as a signal of great uncertainty in the marketplace and a risk to the current model. Thank you. That's all by my side. And I would request Talim to continue, please.
Thank you, Shivangi. Now we will see that how focus on capturing and molding opportunities takes place at Alibaba. As it is said that strategy is not a static exercise. When a competitive circumstances change, plans can become obsolete. So the strategy has to be changed, and what they call it as your strategy needs a strategy. At Alibaba, this situation is tackled by replanning. When consumer expectations in China and beyond are difficult to predict, replanning helps to keep revising tactics as and when circumstances change. In the regular planning cycle at Alibaba, leaders and executive team plans at every fourth quarter, and this is how co-creation helps Alibaba, as whenever new opportunity arrives, employees of significant importance like senior business leaders and lead implementers develop new directions for the business. The process of co-creation at Alibaba involves 4 steps. First step is establishing the common grounds. Based on the data available from the market and staffs, the changes are identified and helps to make sure that right people are available and they can work together. Second step is to know the customer. We all know that, or it's a famous proverb that knowing customer is a key for any business endeavor. And when common grounds are established, participants can explore with customers and have insights of their evolving needs and wants, and can provide potential solutions accordingly. Third step is action plan. It is must so that it can identify leader and supporting team that can put ideas into motion and to work and to get work done. And finally, co-creation. Co-creation process highlights the capacity of optimizing its own internal running parameters in order to maximize and minimize the fulfillment of an objective function, which is coherent in nature to self-tuning. And with these established processes, Alibaba is able to evolve synchronously with the market. Now I would like Ashab to carry further the presentation.
Thank you, Talim. I will proceed from here with my topic, that is organizing the adaptation. As we all know, to run a successful business, management always plays a very important role. And the principle of management are dynamic in nature, and we should embrace the changes as per the need of the organization to achieve its goals effectively and efficiently. And Jack Ma is so good in this field that he always embraces the change and always comes up to take the risk that took him to the success. As per the time changes and there is a requirement for an organization to change its working procedures to achieve its goal, Jack Ma knows that the change must be accurately pursued its working procedure to achieve its goals, and it's important to lead the increasing in productivity. It's totally understandable that the passage of time, the technology is growing. Hence, the new culture of artificial intelligence is being introduced all around the globe. And for growing the organization, Jack Ma is very much aware of this thing, and he always promotes the young talent in his organization. As we all know, the new generation is always up to date with the current business scenarios and very confident to tackle the new hurdles. That's all from my side, and I would like to call Azim to continue this presentation and put some light on the topic, the necessity to change.
Thank you, Ashab. And now comes the question why there is the necessity to change. And let's begin it with the development in the field of technology like artificial intelligence, which allows organizations to make better decisions, improving improving their core business processes by increasing both speed and accuracy of strategic decision making processes. And now comes the role of innovation. Innovation has been the need of the time, and Alibaba always understood this principle from its early days and has evolved with it and become successful due to the timely innovations. With with that, we also need to understand the evolving need of the customers. Brands like Alibaba changes their approach according to the needs of the customers. And when we change something, with that change arrives new opportunities that help us to grow exponentially. Alibaba leaders re-evaluated their vision, checking their hypothesis against reality, and then revising them appropriately. And then obviously there was growth in the people's skills. They learn to observe things differently with different approach. And with changes comes the new business opportunities. When Alibaba saw that customers were the safety in online payments, they take it as an opportunity and launch Alipay. And now to understand the coordination with dynamic environment, we can see that with the new customers, higher rates of experimentations are necessary to unearth what they do and don't like. At last, Alibaba believes that blending is important with the trend because all users should experience a degree of exploration and surprise. Thank you, and now I would like Iram to conclude further.
Well, thank you, Azim, for putting such valuable input. Moving further, the one question which all must be thinking about is why and how Alibaba is in limelight. The key to the key to his success is just the concept of self-tuning, which means to always look to replan, revise, and keep updating yourself with the dynamic environment. Unlike other company, Alibaba always maintain an organizational flexibility. The enterprise always embrace change, which is also one of the core values of an organization. Also, the enterprise have always hire person who have ability to adapt themselves and are not just tech savvy. The enterprise have also managed to leave room for innovation. Apart from that, it also set out companies' employee portal, which help them to set a structure of change in an organization as well as update changes in an organization hierarchy. And last but not least, Alibaba is different from many organizations today because it thought, it planned, and made the impossible possible. Thank you. And now I would like Arusha to conclude this topic.
Thank you, Hira. I hope that is clear from the slides presented by my fellow mates that Alibaba is not a retailer in the traditional sense. It doesn't source or keep stock, and logistics services are carried by the third party. Instead, Alibaba is what you get if you take all the functions associated with retail and coordinate them online into a sprawling data-driven network of sellers, marketers, service providers, logistic companies, and manufacturers. Indeed, Alibaba is what Amazon, eBay, PayPal, Google, FedEx, all of the wholesalers, and a good portion of manufacturing in US too, with a healthy helping of financial service for garnish. Alibaba achieves this by leveraging the new technologies of network coordination and data-driven intelligence. It harnesses the efforts of thousands of Chinese businesses to create an ecosystem that is smarter, faster, and more efficient than traditional business infrastructure. I would just like to end the presentation by saying, while internet natives like Alibaba have the power of the self-tuning enterprise, the emerging lessons are relevant for a broad era of companies in both digital and more traditional industries. By borrowing from the playbook of current experimenters, companies can find a way to keep up with the unpredictable markets and even get ahead of the curve. And in the end, let us not forget the man behind all these ideas and strategies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Just
sir.
Shiraz, any questions?
I have just one question for the entire group. What is B2B business model?
So B2B business model is when it's between the business to business. When the business is done from company to company, there is no involvement of the consumer or customer.
Oh.
What is B2C?
And business to consumer. Business to
Where
customer.
you sell to consumers, and what is B2G?
Business to government.
Okay. Shiraz, any other question?
No, not any.
I would just like to know, there are three things mentioned: agility, adaptation, and ambidexterity. Agility and adaptation were clearly defined. Ambidexterity, you defined it as in terms of exploration and exploitation. It is open for the group. What is the difference between exploitation and exploration? And he mentioned maintaining an equilibrium between the two.
Ma'am, can you please
ambidexterity.
repeat?
Yes, anybody can answer?
Yes, ma'am. As ambidexterity means that to do two certain tasks at a single time, means as it is clearly mentioned by the word ambidextrous, means one who can perform two tasks at a given time. Same thing comes when to the companies that the strategy which is used by the companies, that exploitation and exploration should be maintained. They should be balanced. That the staff, the employees, that should not be exploited in any sense. And similarly, the company has to explore all the aspects so that the profits and all the parameters can be maximized in order to get the companies at higher stakes.
Ma'am, are we audible?
I think ma'am left the meeting.
Ma'am has lifted the
I
meeting.
think she will join soon.
Hope so. Let me ask you a cross question.
Go ahead.
सबका टाइम आएगा. Don't forget Umar.
In case ये रिकॉर्ड हो रहा हुआ तो
भाई इसका जा चुका है टाइम, दे चुका है प्रेजेंटेशन.
पूछो पूछो उमर, पूछो, चलो ट्राई करते हैं.
अरे कुछ ट्राई मत करो अभी.
क्या हमारे पास तालीम है?
अरे नहीं, अल्लाह करो.
एक बार ग्रुप में मैसेज कर दो ना, MIS वाले.
हाँ, मैसेज करके देख लेते हैं हमको.
मेरे ख्याल से हमारा ओवर हो गया था इसलिए मैम लीव कर गए।
कुछ बता के तो जाती, इतना भी बुरा नहीं था।
मैम आ गए।
ज्यादा अच्छा लग गया होगा, क्या पता।
मैम आ गई हैं भाई। अरे कहाँ है मैम भाई?
There were some network issues. Just one
Yes.
question we were asking: exploration and exploration. You said that you should maintain a balance between the two. Now, also very Bobby, how do you maintain a balance, and what is the difference between exploitation and exploitation? In terms of a human being, we said ambidexterity means a person who can work equally well with both the hands, skillful at both the hands. So, for an organization, corporate sector, what do you mean by both the hands?
Ma'am, exploitation in some other sense is a negative term, that we should not exploit something, but it doesn't mean that we can't operate with the staff members, that they can perform in their optimum value, means that they have.
I think
I was saying that exploitation in business terms means the utilization of the resources at hand, what you have, while exploration is simultaneously looking for new opportunities. So you have to strike a balance between the two.
You're right, Maria. Exploitation means exploiting your internal strengths, whatever you have. Like you have the customers, you try to design a new product for the existing customers because you know your customers well and their needs. Exploration means going beyond for newer customers and newer markets where you might design new products, so you need to explore. So we want to maintain a balance between the two. Well answered. Who coined this term? I think like we talked about bullwhip effect, so we know who coined the term. Who coined this term? So when you deal with something like this, you have to go back to the root and find out who coined the term, when, and so on. Anyway, it was good presenting the feedback by night. You can log on. Thank you, all the three groups. Very well presented.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.